Okay. Um, Hi everyone. So welcome to today's section. We'll be discussing how to win the Sweden Institute Scholarship for Global Professional. And I have Emmanuel, who is an SI Scholar 2022, to share ideas on how you can win the scholarship. So Emmanuel, hi Sweden, first of all.
Thank you, Precious, for having me here. It's a pleasure. And yeah, Sweden, it's an amazing place. And, it's a place you'd want to study. So if you're applying for the SI scholarship, you're on track. So just go on with it and come experience Sweden for yourself.
Interesting. Okay, so normally I know the SI scholarship usually have templates which people have to use, right?
Yeah.
So what would be the first thing that you advise before someone starts filling those templates?
Yeah, one of the keys to winning the scholarship is to follow instructions religiously, right? You have to read through the instructions on the web page si.se. Read through the web page and know what the scholarship is all about. Because if you don't know the aim and the objective of the scholarship, you won't know how to fill in your template. So it's very important. You read through the website about the scholarship, and each template have instructions that I expect you read through detailed instructions, and you should follow them as stated on the template. So that's my advice, and that's the first step to winning the scholarship.
Okay, thank you. So let's just start with the form. And the first form I would like us to look at is the letter of reference form. So what we advise in choosing, I think you have to submit 2 references, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, either one professional and then one, I don't know, how did you do yours? I'm not an SI scholar.
Yeah. Okay, I did a little slide. I just give a general overview, but I don't know if it's appropriate at this time because you have some questions. But let me just answer your question. You're expected to submit 2 reference letters, mandatory. It's it's mandatory that one comes from your work place of work, that's your profession. And then the second reference can come from civil society organization, that's where you volunteer, or yeah, it can come from this, it can still come from work. But from these 2, one must come from work. The second can be work, but they stated, if you read through the instructions, that it will be a merit if the second one comes from civil society organization. And the reason for this, they want to see how you can engage in social activities that impact the community, which is what the civil society organization is all about.
Okay, that's good. So I want to know, so does it matter, civil society organization, there are different grades to civil society organization. So there are the bigger ones, local ones, small ones. So do you think the grade of the civil society matter, or just any organization?
Okay, I don't, it doesn't matter at all. No, how big, how small. I think what they're after is the level of impact. They want to see that leadership quality in you. Yeah, so if you can show that in that organization, and then that's good enough. It doesn't matter how big or how small it is. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So now, so I think the first question here is, in your opinion, how would an SI scholarship for master's study in Sweden be valuable for professional academic development of the applicant? So how do you think they should answer that question?
Okay. Yeah, I just give me a moment. Okay. I have it here on my laptop, so I want to be looking at it and on. Okay, yeah. the question, just like you stated, is, in your opinion, how would an SI scholarship for master's studies in Sweden be valuable for the professional and academic development of the applicant? Okay, first of all, this reference letter, you are not expected to write it yourself. So it's your referee that would actually answer this question. But then it is very important that you're there with your referee if possible, so that you help him know what the scholarship is all about. Hint I would give is, you can write a summary about yourself and maybe about each question that could guide him when responding to these questions. So I'll just talk briefly about it. In your opinion, how would an SI scholarship for master studies in Sweden be valuable? I think in answering this question, you need to know about what the scholarship has to offer and what your master's program has to offer in relation to your professional or academic development. It could be, now the SI scholarship would bring you to Sweden, right? So through the scholarship, you're here in Sweden, you could mention possible things that you could gain with your during your time here in Sweden. And when answering, it's good to be very specific. Recommendation I would give is, you can browse the site sweden.se and read about what Sweden has been doing in recent years and how things that you can learn from and how these things can build your skills and professionally or otherwise. You just have to do your research to be able to answer this question appropriately. And for the academic development, Sweden, they have world-class universities here. So you can narrow it down to your program or to your university and specific things you feel you will learn during the program and how it will develop you academically. So I think that's how to go about answering the question. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you expect because this is your referee writing this letter, right? So what particular words or what kind of things do you think that a referee should be able to include in this question that can make the applicant stand out during the application?
Well, okay. I would say that the referee needs to be specific, right? When answering questions like this, it shouldn't be generic, and he should try to narrow it down to your profession and not, it shouldn't be a generic response. For the purpose of the number of pages allowed for this reference letter, usually I would say the first question is more like a short response might be required, because you won't want it to stretch over 2 pages. So where I expect the referee to go detailed and give more example is the other questions, the second and the third question, and probably the additional remark. So I just expect the referee in the first question to just, as I spoke earlier, to give state things that they feel would be beneficial for the applicant, things that would build him professionally, and just as the question says. So it is more like not too much in detail for the first question. Though I'll give a disclaimer here that this is my personal view, right? Every scholar has their own views on how this document should be filled, okay? This is just my own perspective of it, and it works, and it's been working for others.
All right, thank you. Okay, so the next one in that form is that you should briefly comment on the applicant's potential to contribute to and or drive social changes at his or her context. So what is that question asking?
Okay, good. Yeah, this question, it's very similar to the third question, but briefly comment on the applicant's potential to contribute to and or drive social changes in his or her context. My question is trying to see how innovative the applicant is and how he can lead and carry out some certain innovations or projects or whatever that would impact his immediate environment. It could be his colleagues, it could be the company he's working in, it could be the community the company is. Yeah, it could just be his immediate environment. And when answering this question, you wouldn't just say the applicant possesses great potential to drive social changes. What they are expecting to see here is that you give examples of how this applicant shows the potentials to contribute or to drive social change. So you have to give an example. Maybe he was involved in a project and what was his role in that project and what were the actions taken and what was the result of his actions to contribute to the success of that project, and who were the beneficiaries of the impact of this project. So you just have to think of, there are so many examples you can give depending on the applicant. But one thing I always advise, the writing structure I always adopt is the STAR approach, which I believe Precious is, I believe you've heard it before. Stands for situation, task, action, results. You can follow that structure while writing, answering this question. What was the situation and what was the task, the required task? What was the action taken by the applicant and what was the result? And the results of this should be measurable. So in the first two or one line, I'm expecting to generally talk of how he thinks the applicant can contribute to and or drive social changes, and then subsequently give specific examples of how he has done it in the past. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Emmanuel. But you know that they are being limited on page. I think in essay, I don't have to pass 2 pages or something. So
Yeah.
using the STAR approach is definitely a good way. But like, how many examples do you think the referee should write there? Should it just be 1, 2, or?
I mean, yeah, I think one detailed example is enough. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't just rush into giving so many examples that are not detailed. You can follow the storytelling, yeah, like telling a storytelling approach. So it just should be detailed enough. It mustn't be so many examples. I think one example is sufficient for that question.
Okay, thank you. So
And
that
another
is,
thing I would add is the referee should also be conscious of the SDGs, because this scholarship is about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. If in the course of doing this project, there are key indicators for each SDG, and you feel the applicant did something that has contributed to achieving a particular sustainable development goal, he can chip that in. So it helps the reviewers know that, okay, these people, they know what this scholarship is all about. Yeah.
thank you, Emmanuel, for that. So that leads us to the next question, which is about, that says, please evaluate the applicant's leadership capacity and potential to play a role in development of the society. That is, e.g. networking, motivation and perseverance, problem solving, and communication. So please give a concrete example. What are they asking here?
Yeah, here they specified that you give a concrete example. And I would say this question is not, it's not different from the previous question. And the whole things they've listed there, I would still categorize all of them under leadership and networking. So the referee here can talk about your leadership skills and your networking skills. It will cover every other thing they mentioned there, because as a leader, you solve problems, and yeah, you should be able to communicate, and so here I expect the referee to give at least 2 examples, like detailed examples of how this applicant has been able to show strong leadership and networking skills. Yeah, so just like the previous question, he can apply the same approach to this. But here, give concrete example, like they say, it should be detailed and at least 2 examples.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So something about examples, maybe someone is struggling with this, is some people may not have like recent example, or maybe they don't have example related to the kind of course. Maybe they are switching fields or trying something new. So do you think it matters for someone to have like a recent example that your reference should write about?
Well, one thing I would say is it is a merit if everything correlates from your CV, your reference letter, your motivation, your reference letters, and your motivation essay. If they're all pointing in one direction, I think it's a plus for you, just to mention that. And yeah, if there's a recent example, I think that's the best bet you can give. But if the example is maybe old a bit, it's still something you did, you mention it, but you can follow it progressively. Okay, in 2014, maybe the reference letter is coming from work, right? You did something in 2014, you can state it. Follow your professional progression from 2014. Okay, was able to achieve this, and then in 2016 or 2015, he led this project, maybe down to 2019, we're in 2023. So if you can just follow it progressively like that, it's okay.
Okay, awesome. That's good. And then I think the next thing that follows is if your reference have any additional comments. So should your referee leave that space blank, or they should say something?
No, please, they shouldn't. I would advise, okay, they are not obligated to fill it since they said it's optional. But, filling it will show that they are passionate about the applicant and they are infused. They want the applicant to, they have a lot of other things to say, but the page is not sufficient. So every other thing you couldn't list in the previous responses you gave, add them in the additional comments section, remark section. Maybe he won an award somewhere, maybe Employee of the Year awards, won social scholarship due to his hard work and this. You just state it there, but don't leave it blank. I would advise.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so it shows that there's even too much for you to say about this person.
Exactly.
So this additional comment, you're giving me more time to say something about this person. Yeah, that's interesting. I think you wanted to share your slides, right?
Yeah, what I wanted to share is exactly what you're showing me. So you're asking me. So yeah, because I have the reference letter here.
Okay, you wanted to like walk them through, because I know there are also like some questions in the reference letter that the referee should fill apart from the essays.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me just share my screen. So.
Okay, I'll give you the hosting right so that you share your screen. Okay. Yeah. To share your screen. So while Emmanuel is preparing to share his screen, like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Okay.
Are you setting that up? Ready.
All right.
Okay.
So I believe you can see my screen now. So I'll just zoom in a little.
Yeah, so while the slide is loading, I know you, okay, the slide is already up. Okay.
Okay, yeah, this is the reference form. Very important to read through the instructions before the main form itself. And yeah, they are very detailed with the instructions, so you have to read them. And so now this is the reference letter. This first page is basically your details, your personal details. So you just fill them accordingly. Your names should be written as it is in your passport. And you would notice that there's nothing here like middle name. So the first name part, you can just, if it's in your passport, if you have your middle name in your passport, you can include it in the first name. Like mine is Emmanuel, my middle name is Ifeanyi, so there I wrote Emmanuel Ifeanyi, and then my surname. Yeah, date of birth, you follow the format in Sweden. It is the year, the month, and the day. You follow it exactly. Citizenship, if you are from Nigeria, you put Nigeria there. The full name of referee, he writes his full name and the organization or the university that the referee represents. And the title here too, you can fill it in here. And here it says email address of the referee, preferably work email. Yeah. So what that means is email that has the domain of the organization. Maybe it's Texaco, the Texaco Nigeria Limited, and the domain of the company is texaco.com. So it could be maybe HR at texaco.com. So that's professional email or a work mail, not the one having at Gmail or at Yahoo or at outlook.com.
Okay,
Yeah.
look, let me say something here. Remember you also have to like bring from civil society. I know maybe your civil society is a small organization that is just starting. They don't have a website, so they don't even have a domain
To
name.
mention, you see what they wrote there. They said preferably. It doesn't mean that if you give email having the generic format, it will be rejected. But just that when you give your work mail, it gives more credibility to the reference letter. I don't know if you get me. Yeah. So if it's use the at Gmail, at Yahoo, it will still be accepted. But they said preferably a work email. It gives more credibility. So that's just it. Yeah. And then the phone number plus country code, Nigeria is +234, and then the other digits. So here that says, what is the reference letter based on? You just click on this, choose one, you see a drop-down button. So here there's a list. Note one of them must come from employment. So you choose employment if you here. So the second one, I would advise if you are involved in your network or civil society organization, yeah, you select it for the second reference letter. So in what capacity do you know the applicants? Yeah, the referee will fill it appropriately. And how long should be indicated in the number of working hours? Go through the site, you can see how to calculate that. How to do that. Usually for a year, we have like 50 working weeks. And the average working hours per week is 40, though some work more than 40 hours per week. And to calculate now, if you worked for 3 years in the organization, it will be 3 times the number of hours per week, 40, times the number of working weeks per year, which is 50. So 3 times 40 times 50 would give you the total number of hours. Just a caution here. When writing this digit or these digits, please avoid using comma. Comma here is like full stop or decimal. So so you don't write 6, maybe 6,400, and to them, they are looking at it like 6.400. So just a caution, just don't add any comma, just write the digits without, yeah. So yeah, I think that's it. With just follow everything I've instructed and answering these questions. Mind you, they are my personal views, not the overall standard, but I know it works. So,
I'm gonna scroll down to the end of the form.
okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Thank you. I think I skipped something. Very important. The date and the place should be written here, and the signature of the referee should be written in. Do it as instructed. Don't put stamp where they say signature and signature where they say stamp. And the stamp should be the official stamp of the referring organization. So you just put the stamp under here. The referee puts his signature here. The dates and the place. Maybe 2022 / the month 04 / the day 01, and then the city, Lagos, Nigeria. Yeah, so I think that's just it.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to share the other forms too, or you're just sharing this one?
Okay, yeah. The other form is the proof of work and leadership, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's very important to go through the requirements. So the minimum requirements is here. You can see you have to prove that you have a minimum of 3,000 hours of work experience. So that's what this form is all about. And I see that in total, you can only prove, use 3 work experience forms from this, because you would see it in the CV that you are only allowed to fill the only 3 work experience form. And every work experience that is filled in your CV must be proved using this form. And how it's proved is your employer or whoever is writing the people that can do this for you. Your HR can do that. And the same person that wrote your reference letter for your, can also do the same, preferably your HR or your manager.
Okay, no, go back up there, because I'm seeing something that say who cannot fill this form.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Examples of who cannot sign this form. Your co-worker shouldn't sign it for you. Your family members, relatives, partners, friends, they are not eligible to sign, or any individual who demand any form of compensation is not eligible to sign. So preferably give it to your HR to fill this form and sign.
It's kind of confusing because they say co-worker. I mean, you and your HR work in the same place. It's not your co-worker.
Yeah. It's quite
It's quite tricky.
Yeah, it's quite tricky, but I believe what they mean here is, if I would interpret it, shouldn't be maybe someone you are at the same level with in your organization. I believe that's what they mean there. So just everyone applying for this scholarship, please read through the instructions. It is very important. There's so much I can't read through it if not I'll waste the time here. Here, this line that says to prove that you have a minimum of 3,000 hours of work experience, you must request current or previous supervisors. Can you see the difference now? Managers, HR, or head of the organization to validate your experience in the work experience form. So can you see that? Yeah. So those are the people that can fill it for you, your supervisor or manager or your HR or the head of the organization should fill in the work experience form. And like I said, you have a maximum of 3 work experience forms to be filled, and they must be in your CV. And another thing I would want to mention is, I believe a lot of people will have questions like, What if I work in the same organization and I've held 2 or 3 different positions? Now, what you do is, okay, I have the CV here, which I'll still talk about. Is, yeah, you still do a proof of work experience for each position. Yeah, you include in your CV. Yeah, you have to do, maybe there are 3 different positions. You do 3 proof of work experience for these 3 different positions, because you can see it. You can see it in this, in the template itself. Okay, here's your name, surname, date of birth, citizenship, full name of the company organization. Now, the title or position the applicant holds. Maybe you worked for a year as an admin assistant, right? You can put the title there. You worked as an admin assistant for a year. Now, you're not writing in years, but in number of hours. So here they say state the time period of employment. You write it in this format, given the year, the month, the dates. Yeah, you write it in that format. For a year, maybe from 2018 to 2019, you write it here. So the type of work you fill in, you choose from the type of work, employment, right? The number of hours worked in total for that position, you put it here. And work specific task of applicants. Yeah, so what was your role and during your period working in as an admin assistant? So here they say maximum 250 characters. So you have to summarize it there. And the full name of referee and the email and so forth. So you worked again the following year, maybe from 2020 to 2021 as admin manager. So you fill another work experience form for that one, probably in the same organization. You fill it accordingly. And maybe from 2022 till date, you're now maybe the HR or something, or maybe a top position. Yeah, admin manager is a managerial role. Maybe you are given another position. So you just feel it that way. And yeah, just straightforward. So now the next one is the proof of leadership. It is very important because this scholarship is for leaders, right? So they want to see that you held a leadership position somewhere. So maybe you don't have a leadership position in your workplace. You could use a leadership position in maybe a civil society organization if you've held a leadership position there. But if you read in between the lines, they say if it is a merit if you prove leadership from work, your work experience. So you just read through these instructions, and just in between the lines, you can see the things that you need to put forward. Yeah, so I think for mine, what I did is, since I have to prove a maximum of 2 leadership experience, I use from work, and I used another one, the second one, so I don't waste that slot. I used from civil society organization. Yeah, and it's worked for me. So you can do the same if you have leadership role in civil society organization and your work, but the priority is leadership from work. So you can use that. But if you have 2 leadership from work, you can still use it. So I don't know, it depends on the scholarship committee, but just be mindful of the words they stated in the instructions. It will be a merit if you use this. It will be mindful of those things. So I would advise, for priority's sake, prove leadership from work. And if you don't have leadership from work, prove from your civil society organization. So in total, you're expected to have 5 documents for your proof of work and leadership. 3 from work, a maximum of 3 from work. Sorry, let me rephrase so that some people don't get me wrong. You're expected to have a maximum of 5 documents from here. So a maximum of 3 work experience, proof of work experience, and a maximum of 2 proof of leadership experience. So you shouldn't exceed that. So yeah, so that's it. So finally for this is you have to, the referee has to sign here, as you can see from the form, signature of referee, the date and place, just as it was stated, it is stated here in the box. And then the stamp should be placed here. Here's my cursor, should be placed here in the box, the official stamp of the organization. So yeah, so this is the leadership form, similar. You just go through it and
But what if someone, some people work like in the civil society space, so that is their work normally. So now they're not saying this one that okay, from work and civil society, but their only work is civil society full time. So how do you think they can? Yeah, because some people they work for an NGO, which is paid work. You understand?
yeah,
So that is their work. And now you're
okay.
not saying work again and civil society.
The exercise scholarship, right? I could still remember. I'm also being careful. Yeah, I'll tell you what I know and what I'm sure of. What I'm not sure of, I'll tell you I'm not sure of. So I don't give misleading information. Yeah, if you interact with different scholars, you find out that they have different views and how they went through their own application. So me, I'm sharing my own experience that and how it works for me. Okay, yeah, it's a very valid question you've asked. And yeah, an NGO is a civil society organization. And if it's paid, that means you have an employment contract, right? So I personally feel you're feeling it as an employment. That's where you have to choose your type of work. You know, you have to present your application. Now it's left to you, the applicant. Present your application in the best possible way that won't confuse the people reviewing your documents. Yeah, there's no one formula to filling this, but if your NGO is an employment contract, then you are filling it as an employment. So I don't know if it still be ideal to still fill it under civil society organization. So that would look like a repetition.
Okay, yeah, and it's even fine, like if it's employment. Then the second one, even though some people like work full time for a particular civil society organization, maybe they also volunteer in another network because organization can be like, let's say ABC Foundation, but then there's
Yeah.
also like a network, youth network of peace builders or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
But yeah, in
And
that.
yeah, when they talk of civil society organization, now you as the applicant, you shouldn't be scared of the word. It looks big, and then you're like, oh, civil society organization, it has to be a very big NGO. No, 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 no. That's not it. It could be just a little network or a little group that is causing change, civil change, social change in maybe one village somewhere. It could be a group of 10 people, but it's a civil society organization. The major thing is you are making impacts, you are doing something. That's what matters actually. So the word civil society organization shouldn't really scare you. It could be a small organization of 10 people, of 5 people, but you are doing things that are, impactful. Yeah. So a network, yeah, when you use the word network, it is open-ended. You can't limit the word network. So it's similar to a civil society. I would say they are the same. As long as it is driven towards humanitarians and so causing social change. So it's well suited for this purpose. And I would mention that there are scholars that use their engagement in fellowships in school. Yeah. Yeah, it works too. It could be a religious organization, but you won't go and be putting there that, okay, you are maybe the prayer coordinator and prayers for 10 hours, 5 hours, or this.
Nah.
You see, now you are going in a certain direction you shouldn't. Now, what they want to see is Are there projects you did that were towards humanitarian? Maybe you led an outreach to the village and maybe to hospitals, maybe to a school, to reach out to maybe a public school, and you reached out to the students there or the pupils, and you gave some gifts, and you just did something, remarkable. Though it is under the umbrella of the fellowship, yeah, it can be used in this instance as a network and a civil society. Now you are doing a project towards humanitarian, and it will work in this case. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I like the way that you're bringing out this point that they could use like from church, because most time people are like, oh, they are waiting for one so big experience somewhere, that they're working somewhere. But most times, we have all these things, but we are looking somewhere else. So even with church example, but instead of tailoring you to talk about your spiritual activities, you're talking about the humanitarian work that your church do, feeding the poor or something, and how you are leading change.
Yeah.
That's nice. Thank you. So I think the last form is this. Is it the CV form?
Yeah, we have the CV and the motivation letter. So the CV, yeah, a very important document. Mind you, all documents are important, but I feel your CV will give the first impression. So you have to be mindful when filling the CV. This is the instruction page. Read through the instruction page as you would for every other document. And it should not exceed 3 pages. Very important. Any other page will be neglected. So you read through the instructions and you know what to do. So see, this is the 2023-2024 template. A lot of information, but I'll just highlight the key points. So the first section, your personal information, you fill it appropriately. So the next section I'll just touch is the work experience. Here you are expected to give a maximum of 3 work experience. It could be 3 different positions from one organization. So you fill 3 different sections. So it could be 3 experience from 3 different organizations. You fill them in different sections. And mind you that anything you fill here, you must fill the proof of work experience for it. Yeah. And just to paraphrase what I've said earlier, right? What they are after really is that you show a minimum of 3,000 work experience. I don't know, is that okay? You are showing now a minimum of 3,000 work experience. So from the proof, yeah, I'm rephrasing what I said earlier. From the proof of work, they want to see that you are proving that you have that minimum 3,000 work experience. So the proof of form must show it that, okay, from what you are stating in your CV, you are proving a minimum of 3,000 work experience. Yeah, I think for mine, what I did, of course, my work experience was way over 3,000 working hours. So if you have even up to 20 hours, put it there. It is not age restricted that you feel that, okay, you could be in your 80s. Put your experience there. It will still count for you. So I filled in these 3 sections for 3 different organizations, and yeah, I filled the proof of work experience for them for all 3 organizations. Yeah, okay. I know there'll be a lot of questions going for this.
Yeah, this since you say that what you feel here has to be what is in that form, eh?
Yeah.
What if that form, you said if in between you work in one place, let's say I work in agri-tech company, for instance. First of all, I started as an intern or a graduate assistant. Then I moved to the head of department. Mm-hmm. Then from there, I became the director of agri-tech, which is 3 different roles in one company, right? Mm-hmm. So you're saying in my 3 proof of work, so under the graduate assistant, that would be one of the form. Then when I became the head of department, that would be 2nd of the form. And when I now became the director of this company, that would be my 3rd form. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. I would advise you do it that way. But
Okay.
what really they want to see there is that you are proving a minimum of 3,000 working hours.
Okay.
You understand? So they want to see that you are proving a minimum of 3,000 working hours. So yeah, you just follow it that way.
Okay, but what if someone is wants to just think that, oh, like you said, some people have worked over 25 years and they are filling this application and they've moved in that particular company, but then they're like, I've worked in ABC, I've worked in DEF, I've worked in GHI. So instead of separating all those things, I'll tie all my experience, both the graduate, the this and the head, as one of my work experience. Then my next company, I'll write a separate one. Then my this third place I've worked, I'll write it as my work experience. Is that
Yeah,
bad?
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Uh,
It is it is more like, okay, you want to apply for a job, right? You go through the requirements of the job, what they need from you as an applicant. You tailor your CV towards that, right? So you are not expected to put all the experience you've had in that CV. So you apply the same thing here. Pick relevant experiences because it is very key for your CV, your reference letter, your motivation letter, and the course you're applying to, and your career goal, everything to align. If you can align all of this, I tell you, you are a top candidate for the scholarship. Yeah, so you should try to align everything. So you may have experience from different fields. You pick the one because you are limited to fill 3 sections here. You can't fill more than 3 sections. So pick the best possible 3 that matches your profile, that correlates with other documents. So it is left for the applicants to do that. But one important key is that it must be minimum 3,000. It shouldn't be less than 3,000 working hours.
okay, that's good. So why some people are thinking like, okay, they've proved in with one company now, but when they now came to this work experience, so they now put under replace with main tax, and then if you were in a leadership role, describe briefly, blah blah blah. So they now summarize that company as one of the work experience. Then what they did not prove, they now use it for the other 2 sections. Is that going to be a challenge? They didn't prove it, like they didn't use the proof of work form to prove it. But they came here now and write it under the 2 section. But meanwhile, they proved the first company, which they've graduated from the graduate intern to the manager, but they summarized it into one. And then I wrote 2 separate ones that wasn't proved. Is that going to be an issue?
Well, I don't know how that I'm wondering how that CV will look like. Look at the format. Yeah, your question you're asking is a valid question. I know what's going through the mind of applicants.
Yeah.
Here they say replace with occupation or position held. Will you say you're an intern, you're an research assistant, and you're a manager in this line? It wouldn't make any sense to them, right? So you have to pick a position. And it is good you follow a progression that they could see how you grow in your profession. So it's yeah, you can't lump everything.
Yeah.
Can't lump everything. And yeah, how to fill, let me just explain this part. You replace with your occupation, position held, maybe the admin manager, you put it there. Here, replace with employer's name, what it means, the name of your company, where you work. And here they say, if relevant, website, you can put the website in this bracket. Replace with your main task. There are different ways to write this. Some people want to add extra bullets. If you do that, that's fine. But the content of what you are putting there, you should use action words. Words like, okay, you worked there, maybe you led, you I don't know why I'm lacking words now. Okay, but you know what I mean. You
Yeah,
should,
like coordinated, all those
yeah,
words that show that
thank you. Action
powerful words.
you coordinated, and that's what you should use when filling that, not just stating it plainly. And you know how some people's CV can be looking funny. Take your time to fill this. It is very important. And yes, if you were in a leadership position, please describe it briefly and indicate how many employees were under your supervision. Yeah. What's your, maybe you were head of a unit, you can put it there, head of a unit in bold, column or semicolon, whatever, and describe your specific leadership role and state how many employees are under your supervision, if applicable, as it's mentioned there. And here it says replace with type of industrial sector, maybe energy industry, food processing or manufacturing industry, whatever, you just put it there. Here it says brief description of organization. Describe what the organization does, how many. So most companies, they have about us on their web page. You can go there and pick the about us and just give them what the organization is about. And you can state how many employees and estimate if you're not sure. And very important, you must choose the SDG here. Now this SDG should be related to the work you did in that position, not necessarily the organization itself, but it should be work related, your work in that position. So you pick it, and poverty, zero hunger, whatever. So you did that, you do that for the remaining section. And the next one is the education.
Yeah, and before you go to the education and training,
okay,
just under that work experience, some people can be confused. That the work they do kind of overlap with more than one SDG. So they are thinking, yeah, this work has to do with education and then innovation. So they're not thinking, which one should I go for? Should I put the education one or the innovation one that this will? How do you think they can think through that process?
Yeah, this is a question I get from applicants. They are not sure of which SDG to use. Yeah, I think one of the reasons for this, most of these SDGs, they are interrelated. So sometimes you have a hard time trying to pick one. You could get maybe to do a work that is related to maybe up to 3, 4 SDGs. You just pick anyone that is most related. It would be nice to, if you could maintain consistently 2 SDGs all through your application, 2, 3 SDGs all through your application. Maybe mine was basically on climate action, because I'm studying chemistry for renewable energy. So mine was basically climate action and clean and affordable energy. Yeah, those 2 SDGs were my major focus, and I ran it through all my application documents. So you can do the same, and yeah, it shows that you're focused.
Exactly. Thank you. The thing with everybody, when you are doing an application, just as Emmanuel is saying, some people do a lot of things. They are in governance, they're in climate action, they're in education, they're in good health. And when they're not doing application, they will not come and put everything together. You're already confusing the person in your application, because the person is like, okay, yeah, I know you're making impact doing it, but what exactly do you want to make the most out of these things? Because you can't be everywhere all the time. So decide on which one you want to focus and put all your application through, stick to that one. Don't put good health. The next time you're talking about renewable energy, the person is already lost. You're making the person lose interest in you, that this person is a jack of all trades. But let's give it to someone who wants to be a master of something. So just as Emmanuel said, streamline, stick to maybe 1 or 2 that are closely related. Climate action and renewable energy, they are close together. So it will be very good. So thank you for making that clarity. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's very important. And you find some applicants too that they don't have so many options. They've done things that are very different from maybe different SDGs. Okay. If you don't have any other option, maybe you've done some things from different SDGs, it's still okay. You can just put it there. But I feel the person that is more focused might be more preferred. Yeah, but it's not a problem really. And like Precious has stated, you know, streamline it if possible when you have the option to. So yeah, I don't know if Precious, if you have any other question.
It's fine. You can go ahead with the form. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, the education and training aspect is here you just fill your courses and education. They said fill out entries for each degree/course, start from the most recent. Yeah, remove here you can add if you, there's no limit to this one. I think I've taken a lot of courses. I took a lot of courses, so I had a lot of courses to add here, and you should put it in order. Most recent, put your degree there. Here's a replace with qualification awarded. For instance, I have a BTech in industrial chemistry, so I'll put it there. Replace with education or training organization's name. I finished from Federal University of Technology, Mina, put it there. If relevant country, put the country, Nigeria. Replace with a list of principal subjects covered or skills acquired. So here, now you're having an idea of really the skill set that relates to your career goal. You begin to think along this line. I know mine now, I'll have to start putting some key courses I did in my bachelor's, like this courses in environmental chemistry, these some courses in spectroscopy, and some courses in sustainable chemistry, just some principal subjects that you feel should be there. You can just put them there, and you can also mention the skills you acquired there. It could be leadership skill, or maybe if you're into tech or not necessarily into tech, you're good with Python, you're good with MATLAB, you can put it there. If those were the skills you acquired during your project. And if you're a chemist, computational chemistry softwares like GROMACS and the likes of them, you can just put some computational chemistry, just in my field anyway, I'm speaking. So other qualification could be maybe courses you took on Coursera, could be online courses, you can add them there. And also replace with education or training or the organization, and also the principal courses. And I skipped something here. You choose one SDG that is related to the training you did. Yeah, you can do that. And I think here I can't remember how many I used, but maybe 5 entries or 6, I don't know. Yeah, so you can just do the same and fill it appropriately.
Yeah, but I think the CV also have like the number of pages that I could use. So when they're also filling, they should be thinking how they want to type everything to suit the number of pages, so that one part of your application is not so bulky and the other part of your application is looking scanty.
Yeah, and the thing is, some people might not have so many things to write on their work section, so maybe that section might maybe be half a page. So they might still have some page, and maybe they've taken so many courses. You can put those courses, you fill up that page, and your civil society organization too, which I'll be going to next. I don't know if Precious have any questions, so I wrap up that part.
Yeah, so you're saying, because this is saying replace with qualification awarded. When we hear qualification awarded, we're thinking a BSc degree, a master's degree. So but now you are saying you can put courses you take maybe on Coursera, maybe one fellowship or something here. So how will you qualify it? Will you say certificate in this, since it's not like a BSc qualification or something?
Well, you mentioned you mentioned a course you took in church. Like, I don't know which one anyway. Maybe you are giving an example, but well, anything you are putting here, just make sure is a course that you acquired some relevant skills and you are stating them there. So the course, it could be, if it's not maybe a degree, it could be a diploma. You could put diploma in this. If it's certificate course, you state it's a certificate course. Yeah. Maybe certificate in project management or human resource management or in health, safety, and environment. Yeah. So those kind of courses, you can put them there.
Okay, that's good. But then you're saying if relevant countries, something, if you took a course online, should they bracket and say online course, or they should just put a name or
Well,
just
it's not necessary. For me, I would say it's not necessary to put online. Just put the course there, but personally, I won't put online there.
okay.
It's not necessary because take for instance, you're studying in the UK, right? I know there's a program in University of Aberdeen. I was checking one time. So as a program in renewable energy, you can do it like an online program, right? And you get your degree certificates. And they stated there that it's I'm not sure if I'm not mixing it, but one of the universities, they stated that they're not going to indicate whether it's distance learning or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't think it's necessary for you to put that.
Okay, that's fine. So we can continue. Thanks.
Yeah. So I'll move to the civil society organization. This part is very, very important as well. Here you have 3 sections to fill. I personally, if you have more than 3, add it. I added more than 3. Yeah. So it's yeah, I want to see how active you are in, in community engagement and other things. So it's time for you to show yourself. Don't spare anything, whatever you have. Just put it, throw it in there, and be mindful of the number of pages. It must not exceed 3 pages. So I'll just briefly explain how you would fill this. So replace with name of network or the civil society organization. Maybe it could be Yali, or any other network. You just put it there. Here that says replace with name of network or civil society organization. And the next is replace with your main task and responsibility. So you should do it like you filled your work experience. Use action words to fill that part. And then here the next one says brief description of network or civil society organization. Yeah, just as it is in your work section, you should fill it that way. What's the organization about? And how many members are there in the organization? Just something brief about the organization. The next one, which is very important, is when I was filling I focused a lot answering this on this question. I knew it was very important. Someone like Precious that is a scholar, Commonwealth, I know he answered a lot of these questions. So to be very easy for you, describe the outcome with concrete data statistic supporting the outcome. Okay, I skip the question. It said brief description of one achievement you accomplished within the network. And then here they said describe the outcome with concrete data or statistics supporting the outcome. Normally, my writing structure is the STAR approach. Each time I'm answering a question like this, I always follow the STAR approach. It's an effective way to express your achievements, the STAR approach. So you can still apply the STAR approach here. It doesn't matter how big the text is, just make sure you're putting in relevant information there. You have mentioned a key achievement. First, you mention a problem, a situation you observed. Next, the task, and then the action, and then the result. And when you're giving results, you want to state statistics like over 30%, where, yeah, in percentages, in number, give numbers, give statistics. It is very important. So you to make your reviewers follow up with your story. So don't just come here and say, they say, and brief description of achievement you have accomplished. And then you just come and say, okay, I've been engaged in this civil society for over 4 years, and in this my 4 years, I did this. It's not strong enough. Okay, there's a way you can structure it and give weight to what you are saying. Okay, you are solving a problem, or you've solved the problem. State the problem first, right? And what's the necessary task to address the problem, and what did you do? That's the action. And then what's the result of the action you took? You want to give weight to whatever you are saying. Don't go and just write 1-2 lines something you did and it's an achievement for you. Give it a structure and make it look good, as I would tell other applicants. So you do the same for others if you have other experience.
So it's not compulsory that you fill up to 3.
No, it's not compulsory.
Okay, it's not compulsory. Interesting.
There's only one you have. It's fine. You can put it there.
Yeah, okay. So I like how you explain like with the STAR approach thing. But then like sometimes writing STAR approach, it takes a lot of words. So I'm wondering how someone can like
what you said is true. The reason why I'm saying follow the STAR approach was because that was what I used. Yes, I believe in my CV it was maybe up to like 10 lines. Yeah, it was that detailed, but I tried as much as possible to remove irrelevant information. Yeah, so you can make it from maybe 5 to average of, okay, let me count the lines so I'm sure of what I had. Yeah, let me say an average of 7 to 10 lines for mine. Yeah, and I know it took a lot of space, but not all of them. I think one took up to like between 7 to 10 lines, and then one was like 5 lines, and then another one was like 3-4 lines because I had like 5. Right, so it shouldn't scare anyone, right? You can use 2 if the 2 you have. If you have just 2, you can use 2, right? So it doesn't matter. It's just the content of what you did, and how you are able to, let me don't use the word magnify, how you are able to articulate what you did. I think that's very, very important.
That's good. I think I'll come and learn from you. I'm wondering how you did STAR approach in like 5 lines. Wow. I'll come and take that lesson from you. They are saying in this part of the form, so I know it's only 3 here, so someone can also add extra.
Yeah, you can add extra here. Okay. You can add extra. I did the same.
What about if you did this your main one accomplishment? What if you were given an award or something? Can you add it there to say, or there's a section for that in the form for award?
There's a section for award. Maybe you can spare it for that section.
Okay, there's a section for award.
Yeah, so you try to minimize
the word.
Space.
That's good. But so you're not expected to format this form, right? Because I can see
don't format.
The place with dates is just this side, and then it's structured. You pack all your experience like this, so you should not jump to going to where date is to write. Just leave it as it is. You don't reduce the fonts, do you?
Don't reduce the fonts. Yeah, that's the key thing there. And yeah, when writing your dates, just follow the normal Swedish formats. It's the year, the month, and the day. You can use that format.
No, because some people are thinking, oh, let me just reduce the word number so that I can write plenty.
Don't try to that. If you read
disqualification,
you know that it's a very competitive scholarship. So any little things, maybe you could just use it to cut down on applicants. So you just have to be very careful. Do not format. Don't increase the font size. I think the font size I'm seeing here is 9. They even made it small so that you can fit in some things. So you just leave it that way. So I don't know. Yeah, here you choose the one SDG most related to the work you did at this position. So It's your story, you know what to put there. Yeah. And the next session, if there's no question about this particular section, the next session is previous scholarships and prizes. Yeah. Yeah, if you won any award in your life, you can put it here. Right. Maybe it couldn't, maybe it's not, it mustn't be a monetary award. Maybe there's no monetary value, whatever to it, but you received an award somewhere, you can put it here. Yeah. Maybe you led a project and you were recognized. Yeah, you were recognized for the work you did. You can state it here. And if there was anything given, maybe a prize or something, you can put it there. I know the heading here says previous scholarships / prizes. If we should confuse it with awards, right? Me personally, I will still put awards there, especially when there is a monetary value to that award giving. So it's then prizes. So if you want any award or scholarship, just put it here. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay. What if it's a fellowship? Do you think like a fellowship?
Yeah, you can put it. A fellowship. When you say fellowship, what do you mean? Let me be sure.
Okay, you know, like yearly. I think you're a
Okay.
yearly member or something. So maybe you're not a West African yearly fellow. Do you think it's relevant to put it here? Or a Mandela Washington fellow?
No.
Okay, so it's just like if you were awarded like best
Yeah,
student in your class.
yeah. Maybe you are in yearly, right? You are a member there, and then you won an award.
Oh, okay.
And put it there. So they said replace with name of awarding organization. You can put the yearly there. Replace with the type of studies or program or project, what the award is all about. You just, yeah.
So do they have to like use the star approach here? Because yeah, like on
No,
the
no, no, no,
star
no.
approach, like this thing.
It's not necessary. Yeah, they just need you to state, just state what is requested here. Yeah, that's just all.
Okay, that's fine. And then what's the last part of the form?
Yeah, I think this is the last part of your CV.
But I think you're supposed to like attach your passports to they
Yes,
can attach the
good
passport.
question. If the year before my year, in the CV template at the last page, they will ask you to attach your passport. But now you read through the website, they said it will be requested on the day of when the application opens. So you attach it directly. So please do not attach anything to your CV. Make it only 3 pages aside the instruction page. So remove the instruction page, cut it out, and the main templates should be just 3 pages.
Yeah, so the person is always read instruction. You know, it surprises me. So people want to apply for scholarship. They will not go to the website and read. They'll come and ask you the questions. Sometimes like, are you kidding me? You're supposed to go and get first-hand information than asking a third party. Read the instruction yourself. Read line by line, word for word. And I think that is what differentiates people that win scholarship from those that don't win scholarship. Because you want someone to tell you everything, whereas someone is putting in the work, reading line by line, taking as points. While you're just sitting down, asking someone that should I do this, should I do that? Please read instruction, follow the instructions, and fill the form. Yeah, I know. When the you said there's a question we have to talk about that is not out yet because the portal is not yet open. But when the portal is open, I know there will normally be like a motivation essay, and I think that counts critically too if you be awarded a scholarship.
If you give me the
time to. So you want to stop sharing your screen, right, and talk about the motivation
essay, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I think I will still want to share my screen.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The motivation essay, this is the question that has been the most consistent for like the past 3 years or so. And if you check previous is 2016 or so, they asked like three or four motivation questions, but later on they streamlined it to just one question, which is what I have here. And the question is, describe how you can, now I feel this is a question they will still ask when the application opens. I feel that way, they could change it. Well, even if they change it, it will still be related to this. So you can use this to practice while you wait to see the question they will bring. It says, describe how you can apply the knowledge and experience you will gain from your time in Sweden, in your organization, company, and or in your home country or region. So that's a good thing about the Swedish Institute scholarship. You are not obligated to where you would, you are not mandated rather to return back to your country after studies. That's why they use the term here, in your home country or region or organization. So wherever region you find yourself. So they want to know what you would do with the knowledge and the experience you will gain from your time in Sweden. So most applicants, I believe they have it in mind that there's a problem in their country they want to solve after their studies. So we are going to use that assumption to talk about how this question can be answered. And you must be very mindful of the space required to answer this question. What is required is maximum 1,000 characters. I know some people will look at 1,000 characters and you're like, wow, it looks like it's big. No, it's not big. It's like 1/3 of a page, 1,000 characters. So it's not 1,000 words, but 1,000 characters. So it's very small. So you want to use relevant words when writing your motivation essay and cut out every form of unnecessary word. So I made a note here, keynote, though this is the structure I followed when I was answering my motivation essay. So I'll just talk about it briefly. First, I identified a problem that I really want to solve, right? And here you have to be passionate, like you are really passionate about solving this problem. Like for mine is climate change and the energy problem in my home country, and yeah, which I'm passionate about too. So you identify this problem that you want to solve. For the structure I followed, the next thing I did was I mentioned my career goal in relation to this problem. And the next one is I mentioned, you could do the same, mention the knowledge, skill, or the experience you will gain in Sweden during your time in Sweden to help solve this problem. And the next thing is I mentioned an existing platform or network that would help me solve this problem. And the final note is you mentioned the SDG your action will address. Very important. It could be 2 or 3 SDG. So in detail, when making this structure, it is very important that you follow, I made a note here, SMART, right? It means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So your motivation essay should be characterized by these 5 things I listed here. A strong motivation essay, 1,000 characters should have it. You should be specific. What problem do you want to solve? It should be very, don't say you want to solve, for instance, what will I use now? maybe you want to solve the energy problem in Nigeria, like only you cannot do it. So, you have to be very, very specific, right? Maybe it could be a problem that you've identified in your organization where you work, right? Or in the sector where you work. You should identify a specific problem, and it will go well if you a little bit highlight your career goal, like not necessarily state that my career goal is this, but just in a way chip in what you are trying to envision, like your vision for the coming years, and maybe your professional goals for the coming years. You could just state it in a line or few in relation to this problem, right? And the next thing is you want to mention the knowledge and the skills or the experience. Now you have to be specific when mentioning this. Which specific skill would you acquire? Do you hope to acquire during your time in Sweden? Now it could be in your department, the program you're doing. You could go to specific modules of your courses, and you're going to take this program, and maybe you're going to be engaged in an internship where you would work maybe in a company, maybe one of the big companies here is like Volvo, right? Maybe it's part of the requirements for the program you are about to do, that you have maybe an internship in this company or an excursion to this company. So you going there, what are the things that or experience you feel you will learn from this particular thing? Very specific. And you could mention the modules, and this thing could not really maybe be academic related, right? It could be something about Sweden that you love, you feel, yeah, this would be useful maybe when I return back to Nigeria, and you love the way Swedes, they handle human rights here. And you could think of maybe a network here in Sweden that maybe you would join, and some skills, some network you will build when you do that. So you just mentioned some knowledge, skills, experience that you gain to help solve the problem you've mentioned. Everything should be in line. Now, the next thing I stated is mention an existing platform. What I mean by an existing platform is most people, when they write their essay, they're like, okay, after my studies, I'll come back to Nigeria and I'll work with NMPC. Like, who gives you that assurance that when you come back, NMPC will give you a job? See, employment is not really guaranteed for anyone. So that's why anything you are stating should be realistic. Yeah. So if it's not realistic, it's like you're just daydreaming. So if you have mentioned, okay, you are coming back, you work with NMPC, that and this network, you want to network with some certain department in this organization. Now, you want to show that you have an existing network with NMPC. Maybe you were working with them before, right? So now you already have an existing platform with NMPC. Now, it could be maybe a network you are engaged with, or it could be maybe how would I put it? It could be maybe an organization that you are even the group facilitator, or you are the CEO of that organization. Yeah, that's an existing platform that can help you solve the problem. You can mention that. And the final note there is mention the SDG your action will address. So here you have to read the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, read through the indicators of these goals, and mention which of them this your action plans would address. For instance, I know that there is, for some countries, they have a pledge to reduce greenhouse gas by maybe 50% by 2050, right? So you want to mention that for your country. Maybe your country has made a pledge that, okay, well, they want to reduce greenhouse gas by 45% by 2045. So if you've mentioned a problem and a step you would take that would help reduce the greenhouse gas, you alone cannot do it, but you could contribute your own quota to solving this problem, right? Then you could mention that this action I'm taking would help achieve this goal, which is the pledge that Nigeria made to reduce maybe greenhouse gas by 45% by 2045. And yeah, you could relate it in that way to the SDGs. And very important, it should be time bound. So yeah, what you want to achieve should be, okay, what you are stating, within which period do you want to achieve this? Is it by, you are hoping to achieve this by 2030 or by 2035 or by 2040? It's very important to mention it. And whatever you are putting there should be achievable and should be measurable. Yeah, so these are the tips I would give when writing your motivation essay.
Thank you so much. So I like what you said, like being time bound. So can someone split it to say, okay, this is my short-term goal. So if I finish my scholarship by 2025, so if my immediate plan, maybe 2 years, this is what I'll do. Then my short-term goal, in the space of 5 years, I'll do this by putting the year. In the space of 10 years, or because that time bound thing.
Yeah, the thing is, you want to go in detail when you have so many words to use. Here you only have 1,000 characters and just 1/3 of a page. So you want to summarize everything as you want to make it as brief as possible. So you might not have that much space to give your short term, your mid term, and your long term. You won't have that. I bet you would, you just want to summarize it. Okay, yeah, what I did, I don't think I use any short term, mid term to state like my short term, mid term. But you would notice that even when writing your essay, it could be in between the lines, right? Upon receiving my master's degree, or upon returning home after receiving my master's degree, I would do this. That's your short-term plan, right? You've mentioned it there. And maybe follow the next structure, but to go in so much detail, you wouldn't have so much space to do that.
Okay, so that means there's no need putting here to say because I know by 2050 or by 20 this, just say upon my return I'll do the GGGGG without putting any year mark.
I mean, Precious,
Huh?
I believe you are a good writer yourself, right? I believe every scholar must have a very good writing skill to have won a scholarship. And if you go through their essays, they use different formats.
Yeah.
Right? If you go through my motivation essay, it will be quite different from the structure you would follow, but it will look very good to the reviewers. So I don't want to give any, okay, this is how it must be, right? Because many people have different structures they adapt when writing. This is just my personal view of how I would approach this question and how I did mine. I saw some motivation essays of a few of the scholars, and theirs was totally different from mine.
So that's the thing we tell people. People will be like, "Oh, give me your essay so that I'll." I'm like, no, there's no particular format. There's no template.
Yes.
The thing is, if you are true to yourself, it reflects in your scholarship. If you use a template, you really know that, because they've read thousands of applications before. If they will know that this person, you're not coming from your own uniqueness, from your own place. This is somebody's template that you've used. So imagine, okay, someone else is also using that template. All of you are just writing. So you are just discouraging the reviewer. Someone else that did not use that template will now be something unique for the reviewer. So don't follow template, just like know the basic things you should do and write it in your own way and your own
Yeah,
understanding.
very important. Like these things I mentioned here, these are key things that you should indicate in that letter. Be specific. I won't take these ones out. It should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. These 5 features should reflect in your essay. If you read through different essays from different scholars, though different structure, but these features are being reflected there. And the reason why I don't share my document is for the purpose of a lot of people plagiarize documents.
Yeah.
And
Me
if you
too, I don't share.
yeah, if you do that, it's automatic disqualification. Now, they have a system that automatically checks plagiarism. So if you plagiarize your document, so you just disqualified yourself. So try to be original, give your own story, and tell your own, you have your own career goal. How do you want to achieve it? You know, the way to come up with this, you have to read, and read. Read about Sweden, read about your courses, read about your field, what you want to achieve. When I was writing mine, I wrote about, I believe I wrote up to 10 different drafts of motivation essay, and at the end I wasn't sure of which one, though they were related, wasn't sure of which one to submit. So it's just 100 characters. You follow this thing I've stated here and you do fine. And very importantly, it is good you give someone to help review whatever you've written. Now, you might not see some mistakes since you wrote it yourself, but if you give an external eyes to view it, they will see something that you normally will not see. So when you're done with your document, give a friend that is knowledgeable enough about these things to go through your document and give his own feedback and what he thinks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Emmanuel, for that. Yes, he has said it all. But I have a question on the, okay, yeah, before I ask the question, I just like what you said about not edited. You know, someone asked me that out of there are so many issues, which of the issue will stand out small to the person grading the essay? I said, I don't know. The thing is, every issue is important. It's a matter of how you tell the story.
Exactly.
It can be that I know some people, like for Erasmus or some scholarship, people study music, but for you, you'll be like, I mean, like, if I'm the one, I'm like, music, no, that kind of thing. The person able to explain, to tell you,
and the
and
key
so that music
pressures.
that they gave them the scholarship to study music. So no matter whatever you think you want to solve, it's relevant. It's just how you're able to say, this is the problem, this is what I'm trying to solve, and it's important for the world for us to take this action. So stop looking, there's no most important problem or least important problem. Everything is relevant. But then you said about mentioning a specific problem here. You know, okay, for example, your SDG is climate action. Climate action, something like, or renewable energy. So some people will be like, being vague to say, okay, I'm returning back to solve the problem of climate action. But then you say they should not be vague. So are you saying in between climate action, they should pick like a specific problem there? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get your question. Yeah, I'm doing renewable energy, and one of the things that causes the climate change is the greenhouse gas emission. Yeah, so that's how I streamlined my essay too, right? The excessive emission of greenhouse gases is a major problem, especially in the country, because most of our energy are fossil-based. They are not sustainable. So it is where I had streamlined my application to. So there are still other things from different fields. How does it, if you're picking climate action, yours might not really be emission of greenhouse gas. It could be maybe a problem, right, that climate change is causing. You've identified this problem that, okay, climate change is leading to excessive flooding. Like you could even state figures in maybe this so state in Nigeria, over 600,000 people were killed by flood due to climate change, right? And maybe your course and your career goal is, your program is centered towards maybe environmentals, building smart cities, and you want to solve the problem of maybe urban and regional planning, how houses should be appropriately planned so that they're not so much affected by flooding when things like that. So yours might be more like climate action in terms of, what's the word, adaptation. You get it? So in the terms of we now, a community, adapting to the adverse effects of climate change. So it could be that's a problem you'd want to solve, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so it's not be vague to say, people will be writing, I want to solve the problem of climate action. Climate action, climate action. Climate, what does climate action mean to you? Climate action or whatever problem you're solving, or good health and well-being. Is it malaria? Is it
Yeah, exactly.
So state the specific on issues in between the wider goal. Yeah, and then you said, since the question is saying in your home country and region, there's something you said I want to be very clear. I know, yes, the Sweden scholarship does not mandate you to come back to your country, but do you advise someone writing the application should now say, we're talking about Sweden, to say, I'm learning these things and I'll stay in Sweden? Do you think that will make the person stand out?
I mean, if the person has a career goal of a problem he sees in Sweden that he wants to solve, well, you can put it there. but I bet you, I don't know. It is a tricky question. But I mean, there are lots of this scholarship usually it's targeted towards people from the global south, developing countries. There are lots of problems back home there that you want to solve, and you want to help your country grow. So how can you do this? I tell you, well, personally, I don't know. So if you feel there is a problem in this region, like the question says, describe how the knowledge and experience you will gain from your time in Sweden in your organization company. Well, it mustn't necessarily be that you're coming back. I'll give an instance for my field. For example, there is there's a problem of it's renewable energy, right? And now we have a lot of EV vehicles coming up, and we see that a lot of companies they are trying to optimize batteries for electric vehicles. And maybe another aspect of renewable energy is the solar PV or the wind, whatever. So if you feel you have the expertise and you would learn some skills or gain some experience in Sweden that would help maybe an organization somewhere, not necessarily from your home country, right? If you can, mind you, you have to, like I mentioned here, you need to have an existing platform to solve this problem. So if you're saying, okay, this organization, you want to be a part of this team to help optimize maybe EV batteries that will help solve this problem, you'll be more specific. But the question now is, what relationship do you have? Is there what's the word? Is there a guarantee for you that you get a job to work there when you're done? So the key is, if you have a network or an existing relationship with an organization outside your country and you feel when you're done, you can work there and there's a problem you can help address, there's a global issue. Now, mind you, I didn't mention this, which is very important. the problem you're solving must be SDG related, because that's what the scholarship is all about, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. So if the skill, the experience, the knowledge, whatever you are acquiring will help an organization outside your country and it will help address a particular SDG, then go for it. There's no specific formula to it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Emmanuel,
Yeah.
for sharing your knowledge this evening. So thank you. Like, we really spent a lot of time. So if you like this video, subscribe to the channel and like the video. So have a pleasant day, everybody.
All right. Thank you for having me, Precious. Have a
Yeah,
nice day.